Well, today we're going to show you how to change the steering stem on a YFZ 450. This is a 2008 model. As you can see, I've had a few rolls. It's getting quite tight. See the line, it's not quite the same. I'll show you here on my other one. You can see that it's way different. So, got a lot more space between the gas cap and the steering stem. So I got a new stem. We're going to take it off and put a new one on it, and hope we don't mess it up the first time we go out. But whatever, it's the way it works when you're a hill climber. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to get this pad off of here, and we're going to take these bolts loose. We're going to take all the controls. Actually, controls can all stay just like they are. We're just going to take the handlebars loose. I'll flop the handlebars over. You got to take this clamp here off at the top. So I'm probably going to have to pull off these front plastics, and then we'll come down here, and we got to pull out this, take off this nut and take out that pin, cotter key, if you will. And I got to take this loose on the steering stabilizer type deal. Doesn't really do shit. But anyways, I got to take all that loose, and then we'll see what we can do. So we're going to take out these four bolts here to get the handlebars loose, and then they're a 10mm righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So we're going to leave those, get these loose. Normally, I don't keep this stuff real tight, so if you do roll, then you can take those loose, or I mean the handlebars can spin. So as you can see, those weren't very tight at all. Just tight enough so the handlebars aren't moving around on you all the time. So, just taking these loose. I hadn't touched those before I showed you. It shows you how loose they were. I'd rather have the handlebars move than bend them, break a lever. That doesn't mean it won't happen. It can still happen, but it's just a possibility. It helps reduce that. So there's one, taking it off there. I'm gonna put it over here in my tools and have the other ones loose. Okay. Oops, got those there. So now the handlebars will just pop out just like so, and we'll just fold them out of the way for right now. So I'm gonna have to get a new hose. This hose is kinked pretty good, but you can really see there what's going on. It's clear down against the plastic here, but this is normal. I've seen guys change these in Perry parking lot, right in the parking lot of Perry State Forest before. So now I'm going to take some of the screws loose here. I got to take these lights off. I believe, if I remember right, there's a screw back in here, and then I can pull this whole front clip of the plastic off. I got to take this loose here. So here we're going to take these loose. This is a what the hell size is it? It's a 4. So let's take these loose. Kind of hard to do one-handed, but get those loose. Put those back here with the tools. Keep your stuff organized so you don't lose it. I hate tearing stuff apart and then not being able to finish it the day I do it. The problem with that is I always forget something. I've been known to ride around and lose parts because I didn't get something tight. So righty-tighty, lefty-loosey again. Now these guys, they have they're a shoulder bolt, I believe, and there's either a shoulder, yeah, see, you can see there's, here, I'll lay this out so you can see it. Actually, it isn't a shoulder bolt. It's got a spacer in here. take some of the stress off the plastics, although you can see my plastics are a little bit cracked there. Doesn't surprise me. It ain't the first time I've rolled on this bike, and it won't be the last time. So take these loose. Ah, damn it. When I got my white four-wheeler, I had all this apart, so that one's stuck in the light, so you don't have to worry about it. I could use an impact or a screw gun to do this a little quicker, but honestly it's a little hard to try to do with holding the camera too. So I'll pull that down and out of the road here. And this is the one I was talking to you about. You can see it there. So you got to take that guy loose. Matter of fact, he's kind of loose too. These bikes see so much vibration with the RPMs and then the terrain that you run them on. Things don't stay super tight. So, okay, so here I'm on the other side. I wanted to show you this because it's a little different. So you can either take this ignition where your key goes in, you can take this loose from the plastic. There's a plastic nut up here you can take loose, like a crescent wrench or something. I've done it many times. Or you can unplug this. And to unplug this, basically you just you press this down and it'll make it pop out of here. Sometimes they're a real pain in the ass to get out, but this one was really easy because I've had it hard before. But I'm basically getting really loose. The only thing I have left is to take these apart, which I need 2 hands for. So, okay, so I got those bolts that were holding here to the metal brackets. I got those loose, and then I'm going to lift this front clip off. Seems like I still have something hooked. Okay, I have this connector here. God, this is going to be a great video. So this connector right here, I got to take it loose. I don't know if I can do that with my hand or not. But basically, you can see that by doing that, you can get in here. Looks like I'm going to have to actually take these bolts here are done differently than it was in my KFX. I got to take the gas tank off in order to get to the stem. You can see I got that connector loose. It was right there, and I got the front clip off. Just set it over to the side so you can get ready for it when you're done. I normally try to keep my hardware and stuff on the side that it was on, and then I have that for both sides. Try to stay somewhat organized about it. And honestly, it's a good thing when you're in here and you got all this stuff off. My suggestion would be you can pull some of these connections apart, put some dielectric grease or something in there, make sure that all your wire connections look good. Look for anything that could be rubbing, tie it up, wrap some black electrical tape around it, try to keep it from rubbing any worse so you don't get a short. It's a good time to just take a look. Okay, so now to take this plastic off that's over your gas tank, you obviously got to take the gas cap off. You take these 2 plastic screws out. Probably gonna have to get my hands underneath there to. You just pop those up like so. All it does is the screw goes down and show you. The screw goes down and those push out and it holds it in there. It doesn't really do a whole lot. So I'm going to lay those right down here beside the other screws that I had. Take the gas cap off. Just put it right here for now. And then I'm going to get a bunch of dirt in my tank here. Just take this piece off. We'll lay it over here with the rest of the parts. And then I put my gas cap back on. Don't want to get any dirt in there. So the next thing I got to do is I take this loose, and then I'll have to come down here. Well, actually, I might just be able to pull it back, take the fuel line off, but I don't think I have to. Whoops, I can't push on that handlebar. And then I have this stuff here that I might have to loosen up, but if I remember right, I think it's this will slide right underneath those. Okay, so I took this bolt out and the gas tank is now loose, so you can see what I did there. Just pull that back and it'll slide up, and then you just got to be able to get a hold of it, and then you can see that the line's there. But I am just going to set it like that as long as it'll stay there. I might have to move it forward a little bit. Looks like it'll set there somewhat. Maybe get a block of wood or something to put there. But now, so you can see I can get to the stem, but right there's a perfect example of why that baby's bent. You can see it coming up. It should be straight. I'm going to see if I can't get someone to fix this for me, though. I don't really have the tools to do it, but what we got to do now, we have to bend these tabs down so we can put a, I'm guessing this is a 10 millimeter, and be able to loosen that up. Pop this clamp off. This top will be loose, and then we'll start working on the bottom end of the stem. Okay, so I bent these back, as you can see. Don't try to flatten them down completely against here. Keep them, just bend them enough so you can get your socket on there, because it'll make it easier to get them back. Bend them down. All that does is go against the flat of the bolt to keep the bolt from loosening up. I also, when I put stuff back together, I always go through and put Loctite on everything, blue Loctite. Just because, as you've seen, as I was taking things apart, a lot of this stuff was loose. And that helps it keep from being, falling out. It does help it. So I use that anywhere I can. But we're going to take these loose, and then we're going to move down to the bottom of the stem and start working through those things, and then hopefully this stem will come out. So I got this loose. I'm going to leave it kind of hang there until I go down and work on the bottom. So I'll go down here and show you. Focus on this right here to get this pin out. So we just pull on that. See what it looks like there. I'm just going to leave it here. Now we got to get a socket on here and get this loose. And then, I forgot, I still got to take that stabilizer off the steering stem there, so I got to get an Allen for that. Okay, so you can see I'm getting this loose here. It's not too hard to do. It takes time. These were black oxide screws, and you can see they can hold up to the elements a whole lot. Looks like I didn't have that set screw down in there near far enough, or it wore off the end a little bit. So anyways, that guy's out of the road. See, he kind of just sits there. He was around the stem. So, he's not going to cooperate. So, okay, so this socket is a 22, and mine was a little tight. Probably first time it's ever been touched from the factory. So I've got my breaker bar on it, and obviously it turns the wheels when you crank on it, but I think I broke it loose. I don't think I can still spin it with my fingers yet, but I got it loose. So, but a breaker bar at 22 is what that takes. So you just need to get some leverage on it, but so I got it loose. I'll just go ahead and get it off of there. Okay, so you can see I got stuff loose here. I'm taking this on the way off here. Put that down here so I don't lose it. Well, I think, yep, she looks loose, so there she be. I can pull it right out. I don't even think I have to take all that apart. It's going to get my, so you can see that little ring popped out of there. There she is. You can see how bad it's bent. You can see where it really kinked it right there. I got a buddy I think that can fix this, so. Out with the old, in with the new. So we'll put the new one in. Here's the new OEM stem. You can see the part number, 5D3-23813-10. I think through Rocky Mountain this was like 110 bucks. I honestly prefer to run an OEM stem because I don't want it to bend my frame or something if I roll it. Not to say that it won't bend your frame, but those Hauser stems and probably some of the other aftermarket stems, they're really, really hard to bend, and so something else usually gives instead of the stem. But some people like to run a +1 or a +2. I haven't tried that yet. I may have the person I get to modify the other one to make it a little bit taller and try it out, but I usually just always run the stock height. So, but there's your part number for it, and I'm gonna work on getting this thing in there. I'm gonna feed it down through here, but before I do that, I'm gonna wipe some grease on this so that it's got a nice slippery surface. And I'm also going to check my bearing in the bottom. Get you in there to see that. So I'm going to check this bearing. I think it looks okay. There's a seal, it looks like, on top, but looks like it's all nice and tight. So I'll probably try to throw a little bit of lube down in there too, and get that stem in there. Okay, so I got the two side by side. So you can see how much it's bent. So they put this little bit of plastic on here to protect the threads. But when you put it in, you want to make sure that you put it in with this for your cables towards the front of the bike. So I got everything greased up. Got some grease in there, and I also put some grease down in the bottom. So I got that down in there. You got to be careful. These little O-rings will push out when you put it down in there. So you want to be very careful and make sure you get those back in there. And then on the bottom, the tie rods, I'll show you this. So I put this on there, but I want to show you so you're aware of it. This slides up onto the stem. I can't get it off of there real easily right now. But anyways, this slides up onto there, and there's splines on there basically. So you want to make sure that you get the front end, you get the handlebar, the stem, and everything straight on, so your stem's not twisted when and your wheels are straight. So honestly, probably be pretty damn hard to get it on there not straight with it not taking the tie rods and stuff off. But that's something you also got to do on the bottom side. Okay, so I got the bottom bolt back on. So a little trick to put this thing in, just pull out on this, and you can pretty much push it in with your finger, and then this gets on the back side of the bolt, the bolt, so it can't come out. So this is back together. Now I got to get this back together here. So I'm going to put that together, and then I just noticed here a little bit. So this is what I was talking about, rubbing. So you can see that some of these wires have been rubbing up against this. I don't feel any marking or anything on it, but that's a perfect example of what I was talking about, how things will rub. And so I was telling you about blue Loctite. This is what I use. A tube of this stuff, I don't know, it's like 20 bucks at AutoZone. You can probably find it cheaper on Amazon. But it's pretty expensive. But I'll put a little bit of this on the threads and run it into this just so they don't come loose. So got that back on. Made sure I have clearance to my frame back in here, back up underneath the radiator right there. So I'm good. So back up here to the top. So I'm going to get these two bolts tightened down, and then I'm on my way. I'm on my way to having it complete and ready for the next ride. So I could have probably bent it back up and continued to ride it, but I've been riding like that for not quite that bad, but probably close to a year from a couple of my other rolls. So I thought it was time to fix it. It gets to be a kind of a nuisance when it gets back. Affects your controls a little bit. So, okay. So I'm ready to put the gas tank back on, but you can see I beat those back down around there. So put the gas tank back in. Make sure there's nothing pinching or caught up somewhere that shouldn't be. And then you got to get to those tabs up on top of here. It's kind of hard to do with one hand actually, but you get that in there. And then you see it went right there, and then you just push it forward, and then it's in there. And then just line up this bolt hole back here. This is another candidate for some blue Loctite on that guy. So I'll put some on that. So next step is take gas cap off. Gotta put this baby back on here. So kinda, you gotta get those tabs underneath. Oops, gotta get it lined up here, Chad. Tabs under there. Same thing on this side. Those tabs lined up. Ah, there again. Everything's harder with one hand. So it doesn't help that I got that bent like that either. That's supposed to be, there you go. We'll just set those up there for right now. A little heavier. I'll move it over there, counterbalance it. So I'm gonna get that gas cap back on there. Don't want to get any dirt in there. And then that's where those black Phillips screws go in, right here. Right now I'm ready to start putting that front back on. I'm actually going to maybe clean a little bit on this first before I do it, like I told you. I sprayed a little bit of tire foam on it, clean some of this stuff up. I like using that on the bike. It works pretty nice, but man, don't put it on your seat. You cannot hardly hold on to your position. You'll be sliding all over. But I'll let this stuff work a little bit and then I'll wipe it all off. So there, I cleaned on a little bit. I'm not going to be perfect here. It's just going to get dirty again, honestly. So I'm going to start putting this front clip back on. But you can just see I just cleaned up things a tad bit. Try to get it, get some of that grime off the cables and stuff. Just, you know, nothing extravagant or anything. Just trying to clean it up a little bit here. Since I'm in here, I have a thing I always want to, you can clean and clean and clean and never end. So, but that's just what I'm talking about. Just clean it up a little bit. Check for any of those wires and tape up some stuff if you need to. I see one spot on mine. You can see where this is coming off, so I'm going to put a little bit of electrical tape around that. So I'm ready. I just put this back on, and then what you got to do is you got to make sure that this tab gets inside here. There again, it's not the easiest to do when you're got one hand because you're holding the camera. But I'm going to get that on, and then you got to kind of make sure everything lines up down here. I do buy some new bushings and stuff to put in mine. So I was saying that I bought some extra stuff here. So I've got some extra shoulder washers, some new rubbers and things here. I bought these, I don't know, some time back just to have. I'm going to replace a couple of these because they were squished pretty good. You remember when we looked at them? Actually, that one doesn't look too bad. But this one, you can see it's broke here. So I'm going to replace it. No big deal, probably ain't going to matter anyways, but I went ahead and ordered them. You always trying to get to a certain amount of money to get free shipping on Rocky Mountain, and so I added a couple things in there. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and finish putting this front clip on, and you got to put this bolt in, you got to put that bolt in, you got to put this stuff back on here, and then you got to get this stuff in up here. So that's what I'm going to do next, but it's kind of hard to do holding the camera. Make sure you put your connections back together. So this one's for the lights, for the over temp and the neutral button. So make sure you put those back together. Okay, so I got everything back on. This bolt, the bolt behind the light, the two light bolts there and there. This one, and then up here. Also make sure you plug your connection in for your lamps, like I said before, and then your ignition. So these two, there's one here and one behind there, and then here again. So I'm ready to put the bars back on. I put a little bit of blue Loctite down in the threads there, so I'm going to put these clamps on for the handlebar, and I'm getting close. Okay, so I got the bars on there. I think she's good there. Got stuff everywhere, but there it is. A little bit different from the last time, right? So everything turns. handlebar pad back on, clean up, put the seat on. I think I'm ready to go again. I hope this has been helpful. I looked on YouTube, I didn't see one, so I thought, you know what, I'll make a video for the people that haven't done it before, but maybe curious. It's not the hardest thing I've ever done, but it just takes some time. You gotta have a lot of patience, go through it, but no big deal. Okay, so I got everything back together. Handlebar pad back on. Got the handlebars adjusted just like I want them. So I think I'm good to go. Beautiful day to do it. Beautiful day out. I haven't seen the sun in a while in Ohio. So I think I got her taken care of. Got another thing I'm going to do. I think I'm going to change my front sprocket and go back to stock and see how I like it. So I might jump into that project next. But anyways, that concludes the stem replacement. So hopefully this is helpful for you when you guys run into this and you have to do it. Just hope you don't get hurt when it happens. So thanks for watching.